Well, we are back from vacation finally, and as promised, here's the Q&A video that we done before we left, or actually the answers to the questions that you guys posted right before I left. Let's get to them here. Ben Sawmill asked, as a small-time hobby sawmill owner, my question would be, how do you find people to sell your wood to? Well, when I first started out, I started on Craigslist like a lot of guys do, and a lot of people still do it. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes I still go back to that if I get an excess in lumber here, some slabs I'm trying to get rid of to make room for some other ones. I'll put a Craigslist ad up real fast, and it usually turns out selling. I don't think I've ever not sold anything I've ever put on Craigslist, so it's a pretty good way to start out on Craigslist and stick with it, you know. It's really good also to find a niche, to find these customers that are woodworkers if you're selling wood, and to do newsletters with them and do updates and let them know every time you got something new coming off the mill. And that's what I've done really, is build relationships with those guys, because those are the guys that are going to keep on coming back every time as long as you're supplying good lumber to them. Question from Ben Sawmills, what do you do with all your sawdust? Well, I get calls all the time from people with farms around here looking for sawdust for their horses and cows and barns and what have you. But the difference between sawmill dust from a Wood-Mizer or a band mill and a regular circle mill is really the consistency of it. A circle mill is going to have really thick chips in it, sawdust. It's going to be really coarse, really thick. And the stuff that comes off of a Wood-Mizer is like baby powder. I mean, it's just small. There's not much waste at all when you use a Wood-Mizer sawmill on a band mill because there's not a lot of kerf right there. So most of the time, I'll just go ahead and burn it with my brush paw that I'm burning of my waste products from the mill. So usually I just burn it. Now this question comes from, I can't pronounce this guy's name, Skanot. I don't know. Is this all you do for a living? Yes. And he also asked about how did I start selling wood, and we answered that in the previous question. Another question he has is there any other sawmill competition in your area? Now in the county I live in, it's not a very huge county. I think there's about 5 Wood-Mizers in this county. There may be more that I don't even know of, but I think that's the 5 that I know of. But those guys do nothing but portable work. They go out and they saw people's logs for them and stuff like that. They don't do a lot of lumber sales like I do, and I'm the only guy that has a kiln, so they don't do any kind of kiln drying either. And that's really got to find your niche when you get into this kind of business here. You know, when I got into it, there was a lot of guys doing the portable work, and they still are. And I started out doing that, but I didn't really enjoy it. I like this a whole lot better because I'm controlling the whole entire process here from tree to finished product. Cody Bryant asked, are you going to saw up any ash anytime soon? And we are. I got a friend that's a blacksmith down in Sneedville, which is down the road about 30 minutes away, and he's got a lot of ash trees down there that are infected with the ash borer, the emerald ash borer, if I'm saying that right. That's a terrible little bug that's killing the ash trees in this country. And I need to go down there. I'm supposed to go down there at the end of this month and check them out, but he's got some large ones down there, so we'll be probably cutting those down, hopefully, maybe by the first of the year, depends on what his schedule is, and sawing those up down there on site. So ash will be coming soon. Damon asked, why did you buy the mill you bought, and when you bought a different setup if you could do it all over again? I bought the brand, let's talk about the brand first. I bought the Wood-Mizer brand because they're the best. I done the research on it. I went out and used a few of them before I got one. And based on their customer service and their ability to send guys to your house to work on them if you have a major breakdown, and their service loops that they do every other year, you can't beat these guys. There's a lot of other sawmill manufacturers out there, but these guys were the first ones doing this band mill type sawmill. I'm pretty sure they're the first ones. And their customer service and their ability to really go out of their way to ensure, you know, that you're going to have a successful business or a successful hobby of sawing logs into lumber is really hard to beat, and it's really unmatched in this market of sawmills here. And the sawmill markets are getting huge. There's a lot of manufacturers coming up now. As far as the model, I got the LT35. I got one of the first ones that they made. I bought it the year they come out with that model. If I could do it all over again, I would still probably get the LT35. I mean, it's a good hydraulic sawmill. It does everything you need it to do. But if I was going to get a new one today, I'd like to have one of those LT40 wides, because those things will saw up to 36 inches on the width, where mine does 32. That'd be nice to have for these large slabs. Kevin asked, how did you get into sawmilling? Well, I done a video just on that topic a while back, I think about a month ago, and how I kind of got into this whole business here. And down in the video description below, Kevin, I'll put a link to that video, so check that one out. And that kind of explains how I got to where I am today. Henry Bateman, can you explain a rift cut? Tell you what, Henry, we will do, next time I do a sawmill video, which is very soon, I'll do some rift cuts on a vlog. And I will stop the camera and show the grain difference on that and kind of explain it to you guys. That's a little bit easier than me talking to the camera. I'd rather just show you. Joshua says, which do you sell more of, live edge slabs or rough cut lumber? Live edge slabs. The market for live edge slabs and the need for those things nowadays, and the people getting into woodworking, is really just off the charts. I sell every slab that I attempt to sell. I've never been stuck with any. And I do some rough cut lumber, and I'm going to start doing a lot more next year. Right beside of the kiln, I'm going to build me a small processing building where I can take lumber straight from the kiln into that building and have it planed down for lumber, or have me a router sled in there to finish off the slabs and flatten them. And that's going to be coming up pretty soon. We're going to be building that building right beside the kiln. Red Hawk asked, will you show the Osage orange milling? I will not on those Osage orange trees I talked about earlier. They're way too small. They're about 4 or 6 inches. I'm probably just going to go ahead and rive them on side into quarters and air dry them before I put them into the kiln. And I've not even got down there and cut those down yet. I need to make that happen next week. Raymond says, do you plan on applying for the Wood-Mizer 100,000 or 1 million board feet club? Maybe one day. I've never kept up actually with how much I've sawed. Those guys that do that, I'd say it'd probably be an aggravation is keeping up with how many board feet you're putting out there. But never say never. Maybe one day we'll apply for that and I'll finally start keeping up with how much I'm sawing here. Anthony asked a question. It's kind of a long question. I'll paraphrase him here. He's wanting to get into sawmilling, and looks like he's wanting to start out with an Alaskan sawmill. Wants to know what style MS model should he buy. If you're going to do a Alaskan sawmill with a chainsaw, I would recommend at least 60 to 70 cc's and bigger on your saw size. And I would get a professional saw, not a hobbyist or a homeowner saw. I operate the MS 461 on a daily basis. That's a commercial saw made by Steel, and it runs about, I think it cost me about $1,100 for that saw, and I've had it for almost 3 years. And I use it every time I go in the woods or go to the sawmill. It never lets me down. And I've also used the ripping chain on it for Alaskan sawmilling as well, and it's worked great every time. I also have the MS 880 for Alaskan sawmilling, which is the biggest one Steel makes, which is 120 cc's, I believe. But if you're going to use a chainsaw for Alaskan sawmilling or any kind of stuff like that, you need a very good high-powered motor to get you through those cuts. At least 60 cc's or more, I would recommend. Tay asked another question about my sawmill, if I'd have done it the same way or maybe something larger, and we addressed that in the previous question there. We already answered. And the last question here comes from Jason Hamlow. I think I'm saying your last name right, Jason. He put this on Facebook here. What do you do for a living before getting into sawmilling full time? Well, I started my business here several years ago, but I started doing it full time in July of 2016. The past 14 years leading up to that, I was a police officer, so that was my chosen profession. I was a cop. So I left that job, which I enjoyed doing, to do a job I enjoy a whole lot more. A lot less stressful too. I had a few questions also over on Patreon to my members over there, and I will answer those questions on Patreon here this evening. I'll put a post up answering those right there. If you guys are interested in that stuff, or getting on Patreon and helping me out here with this channel, there's a link in the video description below if you're interested in that. I'm cleaning up the shop today because it's a total mess in here. I gotta get some things organized, and this is a box that I forgot about even having. I think the date on this box and the shipping, 1/13 of 2015. I've had this for a long time, and I forgot I even had it in here. But what this is a box of wooden hand planes. I got these off Bob Gary up north. If If you're looking for hand planes or any kind of old tools, he's the best resource I've ever found. He's a retired shop teacher, and all he does is restore hand saws and hand planes and anything like that at all, and he sells them. If you're interested in that guy, I'll put a link to his website down below. Anyways, this is a box of wooden hand planes that I got off him, and he was doing a auction on Facebook, I think it was, and these went for really cheap. And I can't even remember what's in here, to be honest with you. I think I got a good idea what maybe one of them are. The rest of them I can't remember for nothing. But anyways, I'm gonna do a little unboxing video on this, and if you guys are interested in seeing me do that, let me know in the comments below. I've never done an unboxing video on this channel, so if you guys are interested, I'll do this in the shop tonight sometime this evening, and we'll put that video out maybe tomorrow morning showing what comes out of here. And it's gonna be like Christmas, kinda. When you open up a log, it's gonna be the same way, because I don't have a clue what's in it. Pretty heavy though. I've probably some good stuff in here. Anyways, guys, we'll see you in the next video, and I'm back. I've got to get this shop cleaned up in here. It is a total mess. I tell you, if you don't put your tools back where they belong, in a matter of time, it's amazing how fast a shop can get in disarray, or a garage, or just wherever you're working out of. It's a mess in here. I got to do something about it. But I'm not sure where it is.